Hello, welcome everyone to FMC. I am Jeremy. That is SP3, and today we have a special guest. That is Nick Harrison, the professor. Nick, how you doing, man?
Doing well, gentlemen. How are you?
Doing well. SP3, how are you, buddy?
I am doing well. It's Monday morning, first morning chat. Jeremy's got his first morning coffee. FMC can mean anything you want it to mean here. Nick, thanks for coming. Thanks for joining us. And it's NBA season. I feel like it's Christmas. I'm so excited.
Oh, it's gonna be a good time, man. I am extremely excited. You know, basketball is my first love. You know, I love basketball before I love football. So digging into this is going to be a treat for me, real treat.
It is our big NBA season preview. If you're a longtime FMC listener, viewer, it's kind of what we specialize in, what we talk about the most here. And yes, we are excited to have basketball back in our lives. The tip-off is tomorrow. I'm going to start it off. I'm just going to go ahead and ask who you got winning the title. That's the question. We're going to get it out there right now. Who do you have winning the championship, SP3? What's the finals and who wins?
You know what? You want to start off big. I'm going to give a hook right at the beginning. I will give my winner of the championship at the end of this broadcast. But finals, Bucks versus Warriors.
Okay. Nick, you know what? We'll do finals and then we'll give the who wins at the end. I'll grant you that, SP3. Nick, who you got in the finals?
That's a good finals right there. I'll go Warriors 76ers.
Okay.
In the finals.
All right. SP3 is about to kill me here when I make this prediction.
Oh man, let's hear it. Let's hear it, Jeremy.
My finals is 76ers. I am high on them against the Nuggets. That's my finals. SP3 is going to kill me as we go through this. All right.
There's only two other teams he could have mentioned that I would have got more annoyed by. If he said the Suns or the Clippers.
Yeah.
even though I would say the Clippers is more of a favorite, but yeah, you're going to have to explain this Nuggets prediction.
I will.
We go through our ranking and who's going to make the playoffs and the play-in.
I will. Let's start with the champions, the Golden State Warriors. They kick off the season against the Los Angeles Lakers. SP3, you are a Lakers fan, a Lakers defender, a Lakers apologist. They take on the Warriors opening night. What are we expecting from this game and then from the season with both of these two? SP3, I'll start with you. Go ahead and tell me Russell Westbrook's the greatest player of all time, and LeBron James is going to set new records, and Anthony Davis is going to win the MVP.
Ladies and gentlemen of the media, my name is SP3 of the Los Angeles Lakers bandwagon, president and chairman. And I am here to say that our Los Angeles Lakers, we are not going to go in with a whole bunch of bravado going into this season. We're not predicting a championship like I did last year on the Fightful platforms. I'm not going to go as far to say we're going to win a championship. We are just going to make the playoffs. But what I will say what's going to happen, LeBron James will become the number one scorer on the all-time scoring list, something that people thought would never be accomplished ever again after Kareem eclipsed Wilt Chamberlain. Only 3 people in history, when LeBron does it, will have that honor. Anthony Davis will be a top 5 MVP candidate, and he will play over 70 games. And Russell Westbrook, one of the greatest point guards of all time, will then become one of the greatest 6-man of all time, and he will win the 6th Man of the Year trophy. That is all for now from the Los Angeles Lakers bandwagon. Back to the folks at FMC.
Nick, where are you at on the Lakers? I got to listen to this guy every week talk about defend the Lakers. Let me get an outside perspective on this.
I mean, let's talk about it. Let's first of all, being a Louisiana native and living an hour away from New Orleans right now, I have deep thoughts on Anthony Davis, but we'll table that for another time. I mean, I'm a bit of a what would you call it? A malcontent when it comes to to Anthony Davis. But at one point I was that way towards the Pelicans. I remember when he had his first game back in New Orleans after being traded to the Lakers. I came to the game in a "That's All Folks" t-shirt and kind of dressed like Anthony Davis did in his last game with the Pelicans, just to mess with Pelicans fans. But I've kind of turned the corner on that. Let's talk about Russell Westbrook not wanting to get into the huddle with his teammates just because Pat Beverly was the one calling the huddle. Let's get into that for a second. If he's going to be the sixth man of the year, he's kind of actually got to want to be a part of the team. I don't expect Russell Westbrook to be on that team at the end of the season anyway. I feel like he's going to get traded at some point. I mean, just to be perfectly honest, because he doesn't want to be there, and he definitely doesn't want to be teammates with Pat Bev. He just doesn't. And you can tell from his body language and from what he's actually doing on the court. There's video evidence of this. So that's first thing. Secondly, everything that you said about LeBron James is 100% correct. He is that dude. He's going to get the scoring title, which is something that people never thought was going to happen. Shout out to Kareem. Kareem, another great Laker of all time.
And doesn't like LeBron. They don't have a relationship at all.
Well, there's a reason for that. There's a lot of old schoolers aren't big fans of LeBron because they were never. Oh man, that was they look at the begging and they get kind of upset about that. Yeah. The Lakers, I feel like they're gonna get to the playoffs, but I don't think they're gonna be a high seed. They may end up in the play-in to get into the playoffs. To be quite honest. Because there are other teams in the NBA who have passed them by. And the West, as always, is loaded with great teams. So it's going to be a struggle for the Lakers to even be the best team in their own city. So I'm just SP3. I'm just being real.
Fair. I mean, this is all fair.
No slight against the Lakers.
I'm not even saying they're going to be first in their division. I think we're going to be third or fourth in our division. We're the third or fourth best team in our own division, let alone the conference. I'm saying we're making the playoffs, but we will accomplish all of those things for our big three. To address, I don't know if those were shaped as a question, but to address the media, thank you, the professor of Fightful Overbook. That was an excellent question, and those are things that we want to address on the floor. I think that now that Russell Westbrook has a new role, he has to just get used to accepting it. He is an emotional player. That makes him a great player. That's what made him the MVP in Oklahoma City. Am I correct, Jeremy Lambert of the Oklahoma City Thunder bandwagon? Yes. Yeah, see, these are all things that are correct. So we just need to work on him. We are molding him into a new Russell Westbrook. I think that he's going to still keep the things that made him great on the floor, but leading the second unit will allow us to get the most out of Russell Westbrook.
I don't like he already hurt his hamstring and now kind of questionable for opening night. Anytime you ask Russ to accept a new role, I don't know. I don't know about it. Let me say this. Nick brought it up about Beverly and Westbrook. I do think maybe the footage stuff was a little overblown. You can kind of see him like talking to other teammates, talking to coaches, talking to the ref. Now he did just kind of stand there after he seemed to be done talking to everybody, but you kind of got to let Russ cool down in some moments. Maybe he didn't want to get into that huddle. There's definite history between Westbrook and Beverly, though. We can talk about that. Oh, they're best friends. They're in the gym all the time. You can't ignore that history and Patrick Beverly ruining the best chance that OKC had a title when they were the 1 seed and had a good path to the finals. It seemed like we were going to go all the way that year. Can't erase that. I said this as a hot take that I actually believe. Westbrook gets traded for Chris Paul. That is the deal that I'm going to manifest to put Chris Paul on the Lakers to further go after you, SP3, because I don't like the energy around the Suns right now. And we know Chris Paul and LeBron are friends. That's the deal that's going to happen.
Oh, I definitely have the Suns dropping in the West for sure. But you don't wish that upon me.
There's got to be a package. Like that's not a straight up trade. Like that's no
money
longer
works.
A value trade straight up. Like the
Lakers got to throw in their picks.
We would have to throw in 27 and 29 for that.
Yeah, they actually got to throw in those picks. But the money works on that.
Money works because Russell Westbrook signed that ridiculous deal. So it's like, I just don't want to see that because Chris Paul, the league has tried to keep Chris Paul from going to the Lakers ever since he was in New Orleans.
Thank you.
Let's be honest. This is something that has been blocked for years because they didn't want him there then. I guess it's a different commissioner, so maybe things would be different now, but I don't know. That would be something though.
Matt
That
says
would be
no
something.
way. Matt says no way the Suns do that deal. And here's
I
my
don't think so
thinking
either.
though, Matt. Obviously,
think so.
obviously, like straight up, they're not going to do it. Here's why here's my theory in my head. Energy's bad around the Suns right now. Preseason wasn't good. Ayton is kind of, I don't know where things stands with him.
You want to talk about a guy who looked like he don't want to be there?
Yeah.
DeAndre Ayton, he looked like he don't want to be there at all. I think more than even Russell Westbrook. At least Russell Westbrook, he has to try. He has to try to look like he want to be there. You will catch him on moments that he look like he don't want to be there. But DeAndre Ayton at this point, they forced him to be there. He wanted to go.
I mean, he signed a contract.
Yeah, I mean, they gave him the most money. There's probably his agent that was like, hey, you got to go with the most money. You got an offer that you wanted to accept to go to Indiana, and they gave you more money. So got to go with that.
But vibes are bad around Phoenix. I don't think they're going to be as good as they were last year because they were the 1 seed and like historically great in the regular season last year until everything fell apart in the playoffs. That's obviously a bad mark against them. I think they're middle of the pack in the West, middle of the pack or lower. And I think Chris Paul is the one who actually goes to them is like, I'm not going to be able to win with this team right now. Like, I want to go elsewhere. And then we know how this works with superstar trade demands. Typically when they request the trade, they end up going where they want to go. From the Suns' perspective, they get 2 first-round picks out of it. They get Westbrook's deal. Westbrook, they're not winning a title with Westbrook, but if the vibes are bad, then they don't think they're going to win a title this year anyway. They get off of Westbrook's deal this year. Suns with Chris Paul. Chris Paul's got years remaining on his deal. So they can at least get Westbrook's deal gone. Maybe you figure out Ayton in the offseason. You build around Booker and everything. This is why I think the Suns do it if they don't see any path to a title this year and Chris Paul comes to them and says, it just ain't happening. That's why I think it could happen. This is my hot take. This is my big, bold prediction. I'm throwing it out there. Chris Paul for Russell Westbrook. That's the trade that goes down.
I like the comment in the chat from Matt saying that the Lakers need to go get Buddy Hield.
I don't understand.
Get younger.
See, that's a trade. That's a trade that like it's reportedly out there. It's Hield and Turner, but the Lakers won't give up the extra first. And if they're not going to give up the extra first, they're not going to do it. But to me, I'm like, why not? That seems like a good trade.
This makes sense.
Because we're known for the superstar trade or signing the superstar. That's why you're
getting Chris Paul. Have fun.
We're not.
That's why you're where you are now. Like honestly, that's where the Lakers are where they are now because they get younger, man. I understand that you're the Lakers and you always got to have the, it's showtime. You got to have the big time stars and all this stuff.
We tried getting younger. We tried getting younger. We got all these young players, and they were like here. And then we traded them and they went up to here. So we tried that. It gathered us young talent and it got us a championship in 2020. That's what the Lakers are more known for. They're not known for building young talent ever since like Kobe Bryant. And Kobe Bryant was next to Shaquille O'Neal, and Shaquille O'Neal was already one of the best players in the league. So we always had that. Whenever we built a dynasty or built a young player, there was always one of the best players in the league right next to them in the meantime. So I can't go against history with my Lakers. That is why we're in our situation that we're currently in, and our situation being that we have 17 world championships, and now we're not going to get a championship this year. We're going to make the playoffs. I stand by everything I've said here. Anthony Davis, top 5 MVP candidate. He was looking good in the games that I saw, so I'm ready to see it in the regular season, and I hope that he could stay healthy. I hope that we can go against the trend, because also I have to acknowledge the history that ever since LeBron James has come to the Los Angeles Lakers, either he or Anthony Davis have had a major injury that has kept them out at least a month of games. So I'm hoping we can bunk against that trade and the Lakers will make the playoffs. hopefully as a 6 seed, so we don't have to deal with the play.
Good luck
so.
to your Lakers. Where are we at on the Warriors? They're the defending champions. They just re-signed Wiggins and Poole. There's the Draymond drama, but we've seen this team kind of rally together before, and like on paper, on the court, they're still really good. There's obviously human factors and chemistry that go into everything. James Wiseman is healthy. They have him. Kuminga's he's in his second season now. Moody's in his second season now. They got some good young talent there. The Warriors, SP3, you're picking them to go to the finals. Where are we at? And Nick, you picked the Warriors as well. Where are we at on the Warriors? Obviously, you guys still think this is a finals team. Nick, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Was it on me or SP3?
No, you go ahead.
Okay. Great man once said, to be the man, you got to beat the man. I don't know if anybody's going to be beating the man anytime soon when it comes to the Golden State Warriors. To be honest, you look at that roster. Look at that roster. You just named all of them: Steph, Andrew Wiggins, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Jordan Poole, Wiseman. Now they did lose Otto Porter Jr. With Gary Payton, which hurts them. Hurts them roster wise, but I think they're still solid enough, especially in the coaching department, that they can still do what they've been doing because they've been able to roll with the punches, losing players and still coming back and doing what they're doing. So I just don't see anybody as strong as the Warriors right now, especially when they're going to be starting the season with Klay. So now it's not going to be, when is he coming back? When is he going to get into the roster? When is he going to be acclimated? Holy cannoli. He's doing his thing. You can't deny what he was able to do last season and what he's been able to do as a member of the Warriors roster. And with all of their main key guys healthy now, the one thing that's going to be impactful, or one you want to look for at the beginning, is the stuff with Draymond. Like, how is that going to affect the team? How is that going to affect what they do from the beginning of the season on? But I feel like that, if anything, it's just going to bring them together because he did what leaders do. He fessed up. He said, this is on me. I'm going to take some time, be away from the team. I'll come back in a little bit when they're ready for me. He's had his discussions with Jordan Poole. If I was Jordan Poole, I'd tell that dude to kick rocks. Like, real honest. That's that. No, don't talk to me. Stay away from me. Stay over there. I'm running with the second team. You're running with the first team. I can't deal with you. I can't. But if they're able to pull it together, I really don't see anybody in the Western Conference beating this team or getting past them, as far as, because they don't even have to be the first seed. They don't have to be the one seed. They just got to get to the playoffs. So I don't see anybody beating the Warriors anytime soon.
SP3, where are you at on the Warriors? I mean, you're picking them to go to the title, so.
I picked them to go to the title because they're one of the deepest teams in the league. In my opinion, the deepest team in the West. Their talent, between the veterans, the Splash Brothers, Draymond Green, Kevin Looney, all the guys that have been there for all these championships, the guys they got coming off the bench. I think the real big questions, there's two big questions for the Warriors going into this season, is, of course, what, Nick said about their chemistry as far as how they're going to, respond to this fight between Draymond and Poole, and some resentment from Draymond at not only against Poole, but also Wiggins, because they just signed their extensions. They got paid, and Draymond done messed up the bag by swinging on fools. Like, how you mess? Oh man, Draymond, my new media brethren. Like, this makes me sad. This makes me cry tears of pain. Like, I feel bad for the brother, but you messed up your bag. Now you got to play. He's going to play on a mission. I feel like he's going to want to prove that he's very important to this team. So they give him some type of payday, even though don't think it's coming. But I think this season is going to be for Draymond to kind of prove that he can be like a cohesive, glue to the team as he's always been. And I think the other bigger question is for Wiseman. Wiseman is kind of the big question because he's missed time due to injury. How good is he going to actually be? Is he going to be a guy that is going to be, an integral part of the future of the Warriors past the Splash Brothers and Draymond? Or is he going to be a guy that they trade for a guy that's going to be important to the future for the Warriors? That's where I think this season is going to be a deciding factor for Wiseman most of all. But out of all of that, I still think they're the best team in the West, and that's why I think they're going to the finals.
I'm interested in them for many reasons, but the big thing is do they view this as their closing window with Draymond, Steph, and Clay? And do they maybe like trade a Moody or Kuminga to try to bring in one extra piece that solidifies them as a championship team at the deadline? Or do they see it as, we're going to ride this thing out with these guys, trust our young guys, and then this is the bridge to the next couple of years where Draymond might be gone. We know Steph is aging, but he's not losing a step. Clay is kind of losing a step, largely due to injuries, and he's aging as well. And then you have Poole, Wiggins, Kuminga, Moody, Wiseman is like the future. It's like, no, we're going to keep these guys, and this is going to be the next version of the Golden State Warriors. I'm interested to see if they load up by trading one of the young guys to like really get to go after this one last title, potentially one last title, or if they decide we're going to ride with this team. If we don't win the title, that's terrible. That sucks, but we got our future intact. The Warriors are fascinating to me. They always will be as long as Draymond's there and causing a ruckus like he is. I'm excited to watch Steph Curry play basketball because he ain't killing my team in big moments anymore because my team ain't part of big moments. So I'm cool with Steph doing whatever he wants to do out there and hitting half-court shots. Warriors are going to be good. There's no doubt about that. I have them as a top 4 team. They're not my finals pick, though. They're not my finals pick. My finals pick is the Denver Nuggets, SP3. Two-time MVP, the rightful two-time MVP, Nikola Jokic. They got Jamal Murray healthy, Michael Porter Jr. healthy, Aaron Gordon. They got my man Bones Highland, just a menace on defense.
The best name in the business.
He does have a great name. I'm a believer of this team. The biggest factor to them is health. Like it's just health. Like if Murray is hurt, if Porter Jr. is hurt, they lost to the Warriors last year. People say it wasn't competitive. Like Jokic did everything he could to keep them in that. They just didn't have the depth to combat the Warriors. They're typically good in the regular season. I like this team. They got to stay healthy. I do think they'll try to make some type of move at the deadline as well to solidify things, but I'm in on the. I like that they've had chemistry. I like that they have their core together. This is a team that has been through a lot together, and sometimes you need to go through those losses together to like get over that hump. You got to go through that adversity. I like the Nuggets, assuming they can stay healthy, and that's a very big assumption. Nick, where are you at on the Nuggets? Am I crazy for thinking the Nuggets can go to the finals?
You're not. I'm gonna just fact. You're not. First of all. Everything you said about Nikola Jokic, 100% true. 100% true. He is that dude. Like him and Luka, when you talk about the next big guys in the NBA, those are two of the guys that you're looking at right there in him and Luka Doncic. Now, in talking about the Nuggets, you have to talk about Bruce Brown. I think the addition of Bruce Brown to the Nuggets makes them even stronger than they were last year. It is going to help propel them into that finals conversation. You got a guy who can – the NBA right now is all about versatility. Can you play multiple positions? Can you, even as like a bigger guy, move from one place to another? This is a dude that can go from like shooting guard to power forward in an instant. He can guard multiple people. You have Michael Porter Jr., like you were just talking about, who is going to – this is a big year for him. This is a huge year for Michael Porter Jr. to really prove what he can do on the floor. Let's not forget about Aaron Gordon, Jamal Murray, like the Nuggets.
KCP, Trey Jones. So They got Kentavious Caldwell-Pope as well. That's a good 3-and-D guy.
That is 100%. They're deep, man. They're deep. They got bench play, and that's what is really going to prove who's who in the NBA this season. And I think their coach, the Nuggets coach, said something where the team that we are in October, November is going to be the same team that we are in April. And that's very telling. It's very telling. Like, I'm a theater kid by nature. So, I went to school for that. So my philosophy was always you rehearse the same way that you perform. You practice the same way that you perform. So October, November for them is getting them ready for April. And that's how everybody should be looking at it. Like, this is our rehearsal right now. This is what we need to fine tune everything for that final push. So I think you're going to see the Nuggets get out to a roaring start at the beginning of the season. And you look at it and say, okay, are they a finals contender? Much like Jeremy, my dear friend, just said. So, I mean, I can see it. Like, I know I picked I picked the Warriors to go to the finals, and I still feel that way. But the West is loaded. Again, there are 6, maybe 7 teams right now that I can see coming out of the West and going to the finals because that's how good they are. So it is not out of the realm of possibility for the Nuggets to go to the finals because it's just about anybody could go to the finals from the West at this point. In the East, you got maybe a handful of teams, 2-3 teams that you can see getting there. At the West, you got a list. And the Nuggets are definitely on that list.
SP3, go ahead and trash the 2-time MVP with your wrong takes. With your wrong takes on the Denver Nuggets.
Jokic, I never deny he's a great player. All I denied is that he won the MVP last season. The MVP is the guy that Nick has going to the NBA Finals, and that was Joel Embiid, in my opinion. But he's a multifunctional guy. He fills up the stat sheet. He serves as the kind of the core of the team, and I think the health is the biggest difference for them. They didn't make any key acquisition outside of Bruce Brown. I think his defense and his Caldwell Pope. I was about to call him a Laker great because he was a part of the 2020 championship. So Laker great. He will give them the kind of like their some perimeter defense as well as some scoring on with his shooting. But
Jamal Murray is their key acquisition because they haven't had him for a year and a half now. Like that's their
I know, but
he's got to stay healthy, and he's
still listed as they don't know if he's going to start the season. So I don't know about him. I know he's going to be back this season for sure. That's going to be a big key for them. The last time that we really saw him at full health was that bubble playoffs where he just went off and became kind of like a all-star level type of player. So if he could get a good amount of time, I think he can be an all-star, and I think they have the potential to be a top 4 team. Do I have them in my top 4?
No, because
we're gonna find out. We're gonna find out because it's between them and 2 other teams that I think is gonna be in that 4, 5, 6 position.
You're a hater. That's why.
Hey, I think the Nuggets are gonna be improved this season. I did say that. I don't think they're gonna make the finals. I think that's a little preposterous with the teams that when you have the Warriors coming off of a championship, when you have another team that is improving in health in the Los Angeles Clippers. And me, it pains me to say that Los Angeles Clippers are a title contender, but they are. They are. When you bring back Kawhi Leonard, when you bring back Paul George, fuck Paul George, but when you bring back Paul George for a full season, and they have all the team that made it to the play-in without those guys, you have a team that should be considered a title contender, and I think they have the best chance of beating the Warriors in a 7-game series more than the Nuggets.
All right, well, let's talk about the Clippers because I think they are kind of a sexy pick for a lot of people right now because they have, as you mentioned, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George. health. Those guys got to stay healthy. They added John Wall, are really good role players like Norm Powell and Robert Covington. Batum's there, Reggie Jackson's there, Marcus Morris is there. Like, they're a deep team, and that's what everybody talks about with this team. Is they are a very deep team, and they're led by 2 star players. We know what happened a few years ago with the collapse. Last year they weren't healthy. Kawhi's health is always going to be a question. Playoff P is always going to be a question. Nick, where are you at on the Clippers?
I like them. I got to see consistency out of the Clippers.
Yeah.
I got to see consistency. I got to see Kawhi healthy. I got to see Paul George. Playoff P. I got to see Paul George healthy. John Wall is big for them. It adds to their depth. John Wall was in purgatory in Houston and was liberated from there as a kid who grew up as a Rockets fan. It paid me to see John Wall there because it's like you could tell. But that's the biggest opponent for the Los Angeles Clippers this season will be health. Because you got Paul George, you got Kawhi Leonard, you got John Wall. That's 3 guys who could be huge contributions to your team. But over the past 2-3 seasons, they haven't been able to stay healthy. If they can stay healthy, the Clippers are right there in that mix of teams from the West that could possibly go to the finals and maybe even win it all. But again, and especially with Kawhi Leonard, you gotta stay healthy. If you don't have Kawhi, I'm going to Kawhi. If you don't have Kawhi, it's a no-go. Because me personally, even healthy, I don't have faith in Paul George.
I agree with you there.
I don't think he's a big game guy. I think that he's shown it in spurts, but that's another thing about consistency. You know, the Clippers, alliteration. Clippers consistency. You gotta be consistent if you want to win in this league. And the Clippers have not shown consistency over the past couple of seasons. So it's hard for me to believe that they could be the team that could possibly go to the finals from the Western Conference. But again, if those 3 guys can stay healthy, and if they can lead those role players that are right there in the mix with the Clippers, they're a dangerous, dangerous team. But they got to stay healthy.
Here's my concern when it comes to the Clippers. And the depth is great. The problem that could come up with the depth is a lot of these guys, when Kawhi and George were out, like Reggie Jackson played a big role last season. Marcus Morris played a big role last season. Reggie Jackson, I mean, this guy famously thought he should have started over peak Russell Westbrook. So I don't know how, I'm sure Reggie Jackson's got a little bit more level-headed now, but this was real thoughts that he had at the time. How do they feel when these guys get healthy and now their opportunities are lessened? Like, do they accept that? Or does Reggie Jackson feel like, I carried this team last year, I was a big part last year, how are you going to bring John Wall in and now bring me to the bench? Is Marcus Morris I need to get more shots? Like, how do these guys feel when the players get healthy? Kawhi and George and John Wall are taking the majority of these shots, and they're like, why don't I have a bigger role? Why don't I have a bigger role? His personality plays a part of this, and they got some big personalities on that team.
I think that Marcus Morris, I think he's actually going to get more touches because he's going to get open more with Kawhi and Paul George on the floor, because he had one of the biggest drops in usage. I think he went from 59% to 50% in usage, while Reggie Jackson, that might be the only issue as far as people getting on the same page, because he had one of the biggest jumps in the entire NBA in usage. He went up 7.8%. So the starting lineup, I think they are gonna get open shots for Marcus Morris. I think they're gonna get Zubac open in the paint, so that's gonna open things up more for them. And then the second unit, they have one of the best second units in the league. So I think that Reggie Jackson leading the second unit, it's kind of similar to what I said about Russell Westbrook. It's a new role from what he was playing last year. So it gives him more opportunities, more time to lead, more time to have the ball, which Reggie Jackson is going to want to have, and he can get people open and create shots for the Norman Powells, the Luke Kennards, the Terrence Mann, Robert Covington. And their defense, they have one of the best defense in the NBA. but you guys are 100% right. The health and themselves. That's been the Clippers' biggest obstacle since they put this team together. It's been themselves. Themselves are the team that always beats them, and they need to overcome that. That's why I say I think they have the best chance to beat the Warriors. I think there's other teams that will give the Warriors a nice little try, but I think the combination of their defense and their depth is the reason why I give them the best chance at beating the Warriors in the West.
Phoenix and Memphis were the top 2 seeds in the West last year. I kind of gave my thoughts on Phoenix. I think they're going to fall off a little bit. Memphis is a team that's young, and they surprised everybody when they were the 2 seed, and they gave the Warriors some trouble, and then Ja got hurt and everything. Where are we at on Memphis, Nick?
Ja Moran is my way too early prediction for MVP. He is
I'm not mad at that.
Quite possibly the most exciting player in the NBA today. Like, he is just an absolute joy to watch. Like, if you've never sat down and watched the Grizzlies play and watch Ja Morant play, I suggest this season you make it appointment viewing to watch Ja Morant, because the kid can ball. And there were questions about him coming into the league when he was getting drafted, about his size and all that. He's put all of those questions to rest. To me, he's put them all to rest, because the kid can play. And it's not just the exciting plays, it's getting his teammates involved. It's being a leader on the court, which is something that you need if you want to be successful in the NBA. But it's not just the Ja Morant team. You got Jaren Jackson, you got Desmond Bane, you got Dylan Brooks. Like, they are a solid team. Brandon Clark, throw him in there too. They're a solid team, top to bottom, and they're well coached. So the Grizzlies are another one of those teams in the Western Conference that I say are right there in the mix. But they're going to have trouble with teams that are just as young, just as fast, that are right there with them in the middle of the pack. Like, New Orleans is a team that I can see Memphis having trouble with. I'm with you. I think the Phoenix Suns fall off this year, but I think the Grizzlies get even stronger. I don't think they level off and just stay where they were. I think that extra year is going to give them a little bit more of that juice, of that fire. So the Grizzlies are another top tier team. I see them as a top 3 seed in the Western Conference this year.
SP3, where you at on the Grizzlies?
I got both the Grizzlies and the Suns falling off this season. It's mainly for the Grizzlies. It's Jaren Jackson, it's Triple J being out. With the foot surgery. I think the earliest he's going to come back is probably December. So it's going to take them some time into the new year. I think the second half of the season, they're going to be one of the best teams in the second half of the season. So I don't see them dropping off as far as I see the Suns dropping off, ladies and gentlemen. But I do see them not being a top 4, top 5 seed in the West. I think that Ja Morant's going to have a huge year. I think he is going to be a top 5 candidate for MVP. Yes, I'm shaping up the top 5 that I have Anthony Davis in already. I agree with Nick. He's going to have a great season. Desmond Bane, he's probably one of the most underrated players in the league, just how well he shoots, plays defense ever since he's come into the league, and he was a number 30th pick. And they just have so much depth, so many guys. Steven Adams, is a good front court player. Dylan Brooks is just too inconsistent for me. That's another issue with their lineup. He's one of the more inconsistent players in the NBA, in my opinion. Really, it's going to come down to their big men in the early portion of the season, Zaire Williams as well as Xavier Tillman. If they can step up and fill the void for Triple J along with Brandon Clark, I think they'll be able to kind of ride out until Triple J comes back. But like I said, the second half of the season, they're going to be good. I just see a drop off. I don't see them being home court advantage in the first round playoff team.
I think losing Kyle Anderson is actually kind of a big loss for them. Kyle Anderson's not going to stand out and fill up the stat sheet or anything, but defensively, he gives you a lot of versatility. He's called slow-mo. He slows the game down. He can do a little bit of everything on offense. I do think that's kind of a loss for them. they're banking a lot on internal improvement because they didn't go out and get like a big name, make a big splash. They're expecting Ja to take another leap, which is fair. I do think Ja will be even better this year. They're expecting Desmond Bane to continue and also improve. Dylan Brooks. Yeah, Jaren Jackson being injured, not great. That's going to hurt them a little bit. Brandon Clark, they're expecting a leap from him. They're banking on a lot of internal improvement, which is fine with a young team. I don't think they're not going to surprise anybody this year. Like being a 2 seed, I don't think anybody had them as a 2 seed coming into last season. So they're not going to sneak up on anybody like they did last year. I do expect them to slip a little bit, but I also still think they're a playoff team. Other teams,
that makes a difference, though. That's a good point. Like not being underestimated helped them last year, really, because they were underestimated. They were considered a young team, and they overachieved. That's why I think they're going to come a little bit down to earth this season.
Other teams that are like in the mix, certainly for a playoff spot. So we haven't hit on Dallas. There's New Orleans, Minnesota. They made the big trade getting Rudy Gobert.
Let me talk about Dallas. Dallas about to make the biggest jump, yo.
Really?
Addition by subtraction. I'm telling you, having the ball more. Jalen Brunson was a great player. Don't get me wrong. For Dallas, he ran the offense pretty much and helped them to catch the lead on the Utah Jazz when Luka went down. But I think that Luka's conditioning is going to get better this season. I think Luka Doncic is going to be the MVP, and I think the team around him facilitates that. You got Spencer Dinwiddie. He's still going to be scoring, but he just has to play more games because he was kind of wrote off for a little bit in the early portion of the season for his work on Washington. But ever since he came on the Mavericks, he's been balling out, and I think he's going to have a good season in the starting lineup. Just the team, Dorian Finney-Smith, he's good defense for the team, but overall, this team around them, it's nothing without Luka. So I think that Luka is just going to completely ball out. I think he's going to get a 30-plus triple-double season, and the Mavericks will be a top 4 seed.
Let me speak on the Pelicans. Since he went Mavericks, let me talk Pelicans. Mark my words. Pelicans are going to be a top 4 seed. Brandon Ingram will be a candidate for MVP. And they will have at least one guy in the mix for 6th man of the year.
Wow.
Now, let me tell you what. Now, full disclosure, as I told you guys before we came on, I work for ESPN Radio New Orleans. So I've been heavily covering the Pelicans team. Was there for media day, talked to all of the guys. There's a vibe around this team. They love playing together. They extended Zion Williamson during the summer. So now Brandon Ingram, and CJ McCollum, who, remember, is a great player, head of the Players Association, and a leader. CJ, BI, Zai, all playing together for at least the next 3 seasons because they all have their contracts to where they have a big 3 on this team. You got guys like, let me see, Jonas Valanciunas, who is their big man, but you also have Billy Hernan-Gomez, who won the MVP of Eurobasket over the summer. So he's coming in to look to get more minutes. All these, Herb Jones is a defensive stud.
Love him.
Yes.
He is a 2-way stud, and they had to bribe him to get out of the gym this summer. Like Larry Nance had to basically bribe that dude to get him out of the gym. All he wants to do is play basketball and fish. I love Herb. He's great. Dyson Daniels was a great draft pick. He's great on defense. He fills up the stat sheet. He's all over the court. Trey Murphy can ball. Najee Marshall. You get Jackson Hayes. You got all Garrett Temple. Next.
Jose Alvarado. Don't forget about Jose.
Let's not forget
Jose.
Grand Theft Alvarado.
Jose. Check it. I was at they had a preseason game a couple weeks ago. It was the only one that they had in New Orleans because the other home game that they had was in Alabama. So I got a chance to see them up close and personal. And you see all of these guys coming in, coming out, fighting 4 minutes, fighting to get into the game. And the best part about this team to me is that they absolutely love each other. Like, to see them interact with each other at media day, everybody dapping each other up. They're asking each other. I think it was, I want to say it was Trey who was in there asking maybe Jose questions during his time during media day, sitting out in the audience, asking him questions like he was a member of the media, like he was one of us. Just joking around with each other, seeing Jose at media day with his daughter in his lap while he's answering questions. Like, it's hard not to love this team, but at the end of the day, they're healthy, top to bottom. They got their second team could be a starting five somewhere in the league. I don't know where, maybe in San Antonio because they stink, but their second five could be a starting five somewhere in the league and could play. Like, they are deep. Willie Green is a great coach, second year with them. You know, he came from that Suns tree and has done really well with this roster and what they've been able to do. Shout out to David Griffin, the general manager, who was able to put this team together. It's that there is a vibe around this Pelicans team, and I'm telling y'all now, they're gonna make some noise. They're what the Grizzlies were last year, where it's like, you know, nobody's really. I mean, they're talking about them because of Zion Williamson, but they don't understand the real depth that this team has, and they're gonna be able to do something coming up this season. So you just watch what I tell you. The Pelicans are about to make some noise. Herb Jones could be defensive player of the year. You're absolutely right.
Love Herb Jones. I'm gonna touch on both those teams. D'Lo Diggs says Luka for MVP. That's my pick. Honestly, that's my pick. It's Luka. Assuming he's healthy, assuming he stays healthy. Tim Hardaway, getting him back will be big. I think they kind of expect him to sort of do a lot of what Jalen Brunson did last season. I do like Christian Wood on that team. They're so reliant on Luka. That's the thing. Like, if he misses any amount of games, then I feel like that tanks them completely. But Mark Cuban's always looking for some type of big splash. Whether or not this is the year he can actually make it. They tried with Porzingis, didn't work. We'll see if he has now something else up his sleeve to try to make a big splash. Poor Porzingis.
The poor unicorn. I know Knicks fans that hate him with a passion. It's funny to me. It's so funny.
Knicks fans should hate themselves.
Yeah, exactly. We're not going to be talking about the Knicks on this NBA preview here.
The Knicks always.
We are. JJ sent money, so we're going to talk about the Knicks a little bit.
Okay. They sent money? The Knicks are great. Let's talk
about my hometown.
The big three of Julius Randle, Jalen Brunson, and RJ Barrett. Let me tell you. The big three right there. I do like Dallas because I like Luka. I think Giannis is the best player in the league. I'd go Luka after that. So I think Luka is going to win MVP this year. So
if you had a choice to pick a player in the league, if any of us had that choice, I think the first two we would think to pick for, like, if you're thinking about the next 5 years, it's Giannis and Luka.
Yeah. Jokic is there. Embiid's there as well. They're both young. But building around centers, it always just seems like it's tougher than building around like a dynamic guard. And Giannis is just a freak of nature. As far as the Pelicans go, Nick, I'm gonna say this: Brandon Ingram, that's my guy right there. When the draft was coming out, and Ben Simmons went first and Ingram went second, I was like, nope, it's a mistake. Ingram is the man. Always loved Brandon Ingram's game. I'm glad he's finally getting more of a showcase.
Former Laker great, Brandon Ingram.
Yeah, okay. CJ McCollum, I love that trade. He is a leader. Like, I'm not like the highest CJ McCollum fan, but I watched him kill OKC enough games to know that this man can just score buckets at will. Zion, another one who I'm from North Carolina. I'm in Ohio now, unfortunately, but I'm from North Carolina. So I watch these Duke guys growing up all the time. So Zion, watched a lot of him. Love Zion. Obviously got to stay healthy. If he's healthy, he's a game changer. Got to be on the court to be able to do that, though. So 100%. I do love New Orleans. I don't know if I'm willing to go top 4 seed, but I am willing to go playoff team for New Orleans because I really do like their team.
Yeah, without Zion Williamson.
Yeah,
like, they were playing team.
Yeah.
They beat the Clippers last year.
Right.
Beat the Clippers in the playoffs, beat the Spurs in the playoffs.
They did.
They gave the Suns a run for their money on the Suns' way to being in the fight. Like, they are they are a legit, and you add Zion Williamson to the mix, you consider that this entire roster stayed the same. Like, it's the same guys. They didn't take away anybody. They didn't really add anybody except for really Zion. It's the same roster. And then they're playing together for a second year. You add it. Man, I feel where you're coming from. Maybe it's just, maybe it's a local bias because I'm so close to the team now. But I really think that the Pelicans are going to do something special this season. And
I hope so.
We can go back and check the tape. But
we'll run it back. We'll clip it. We'll clip it.
There it is.
I hope so. I like the Pelicans. I'm high on Minnesota. I know
I got 2 new top 4 teams. It's Dallas and Minnesota. Minnesota is going to be a top 4 team this season.
I like the Gobert trade. I think at least for the regular season, it 100% works. The playoffs, I got to see it in action. We've seen Gobert in the playoffs too many times just get schemed out of things. But for the regular season, I love this Rudy Gobert addition. He's going to protect Towns a lot. Towns is going to have a great season, especially offensively. D'Angelo Russell could be hit or miss. Lakers great. D'Angelo Russell can be hit or miss, but yeah, offensively he gives you a lot. And then I like the addition of Kyle Anderson. I mentioned him earlier. I think that's a big loss for Memphis. I think it's a great gain for Minnesota. And then Anthony Edwards, I think he's ready to take that next step as well. We saw him take a little bit of a leap in the playoffs. I think that carries over to the regular season. So I really like Minnesota during the regular season. Nick, where are you at on that after the Gobert trade?
I think I'm like, who is that? Brian Windhorst from ESPN, the famous meme. Why would the Jazz do that? Like, why would the Jazz do that? I know that he's patient zero in the NBA for COVID, but getting rid of Rudy Gobert is just not a smart move, man. And now you look at the Timberwolves, who were much maligned for years. And now, according to NBA rank, they have 3 of the top 25 players in the league on their team with Cat, with Rudy Gobert, and with Anthony Edwards. You add D'Angelo Russell to the mix, who is going to be looking to prove something this season. And the Minnesota Timberwolves are another one of those teams in the Western Conference that are going to make that jump. I feel about the Timberwolves the same way you feel about the Pelicans, that they're going to be a playoff team, but I don't see them being like one of the top tier teams in the Western Conference. I think it's too loaded, and it's new for them. It's kind of new for them to come together and do what they're trying to do now. Karl Anthony Towns is going to be a problem. He's another one of those dudes that you can look at right now as a possible MVP candidate for what he's going to be able to do with that team. And adding Rudy Gobert gives him some space to kind of really do his thing and not be the focal point of the defense at all times. So we're going to see a large leap, not just for the Minnesota Timberwolves, but for Karl Anthony Towns as a maybe elite player in the NBA. But I think they need a little time. They need to simmer. They need a little time to cook before they can become one of those premier teams in the Western Conference and in the NBA at large. So I like what Minnesota did. I like that. Again, why would the Jazz do that? I like what Minnesota did. I like the team. I like the roster. I like what they put together. But for me, they're going to be a playoff team, but just not like a top tier team. But they can make some noise.
The other team I wanted to touch on is the Blazers. They added Jeremy Grant. They got a healthy Damian Lillard. Do we see the Blazers getting back into the playoffs? SP3?
The Blazers, no. I don't see them getting back to the playoffs. I think at best, the only question that I have going into the season is who's going to get the 10 spot, because there's so many teams that are similar to that level. But I think for the Blazers, that probably would give them the edge is Lillard being more like secure in his spot. There's no more questions of if he's going to be traded this season. They gave him the extension. They're supplying him with new complementary pieces in Portland, and they have a pretty decent enough team that should be a playoff threat at the very least. I think that's the question, is if they can overcome what was a totally train wreck season last season for them when they were considered a playoff threat last season, but they didn't. So it's really about Dame leading this team. Anthony Simons has to take that next step. He's a good shooter. He's improving, and he showed that steady improvement last season. So hopefully he makes another jump. He went from 7.8 points to 17 points. So if he can stay on that kind of trajectory of 17, 18 points a night, that's a good piece that kind of replaces what McCollum was giving them on a nightly basis. Josh the Hitman Hart, I think that former Laker great, I think that he is going to be a key contributor, a much needed a filler for that small forward position. Nurkic, he's going to have to make an improvement from last season, and he's got Damian Lillard for the full season. And I think the big kind of person that has to contribute for them to even make a play in is Shaedon Sharpe coming off the bench. I think that he's kind of the key reserve that they have, and kind of going to be the leader coming off the bench along with Gary Payton II.
I think the Blazers are going to be good, but yeah, I don't know if they're going to be a playoff team. Lillard's health is going to be a big thing. Lillard wasn't good before he got injured last year, and maybe he was still banged up. I do love Jeremy Grant. I think he's exactly what they need. And Simons, yeah, he's got to take that next step. All right, give me your 8 playoff team. I don't care about the play-in game. Whoever you think is going to essentially win the play-in game.
I'm giving play-in, and then I'm going to tell you who wins.
Fine, whatever. 8 playoff teams. SB3, give me 8. I don't want your play-in teams.
All right, in the West. Oh man, this is tough. All right, so like I said, I think the Warriors are going to be the best team, but they're not going to do that in the regular season. Champions don't do that. I know from my Los Angeles Lakers, we don't do that the season after winning championships. We never did that. So I don't think the Warriors are going to do that. So I think the Clippers are going to be the number 1 seed in the West. I'll take Warriors at 2. Then 3, Mavericks. 4, Timberwolves. Shoot. Then it gets interesting. 5, I'll go with the Grizzlies. 6, let's go with the Nuggets. No, I'll go with the Nuggets and then the Grizzlies. I'll go with Nuggets at 5, Grizzlies at 6. 7, Pelicans. 8, Suns. 9, Lakers. And 10, you know what? I'll go with the Blazers. I'll give Damian Lillard one more shot for a play-in at least. And then the winners of the play-in is going to be my Los Angeles Lakers and the New Orleans Pelicans.
Nick, 8 playoff teams, not this play-in nonsense.
I'm going to follow the rules. I'm going to follow the 8 playoff teams. So we'll go Warriors at 1. I'll say Mavs at 2. Pelicans at 3.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm not playing around with this. Nuggets at 4. Grizz at 5. Timberwolves at 6. Haven't said the Clippers yet, have I?
No, you haven't. I was like, damn, he's low on the Clippers.
I am. We'll go Clips 7, Lakers 8.
Damn, you don't have the Suns making the playoffs?
Nope.
I told you. I'm telling that Chris Paul trade. Chris Paul to the Lakers. It's gonna happen. All right, here's my 8. I got Clippers at 1, Nuggets at 2, Warriors at 3, Minnesota at 4. I will say Minnesota at 4. Memphis at 5. Mavericks at 6. Pelicans. Actually, Suns at 7. Pelicans at 8. Those are my 8 playoff teams right there. No Lakers making the playoffs. They're trash. Absolute garbage franchise.
Disrespectful. You're so disrespectful. You notice I ain't saying nothing about your Thunder.
What's there to say? We're not going to be good. What's there to say about them? Josh Giddey, most improved player.
I don't kick you when you're down.
We're not down. We're
y'all
good.
always been down. Y'all always been down.
We're fine. We're doing great. We're
How
doing
many championships y'all got?
Who cares? Who cares? Let's move to the East. All right, the East.
Why?
I mean, we'll run through the East.
We can
very
just
quickly.
end it right now. What are we doing?
We can get through the East very quickly. Nick, we're both high on the Sixers. We got the Sixers going to the finals. What do you see in the Sixers that makes you think this is the finals team?
Joel Embiid.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
Keep it simple.
Let's move on to the next team. No, look, man, you talk about, and you know, we're all wrestling guys, so we've heard the term generational talent ad nauseum for the past month now, but that's what Joel Embiid is. Joel Embiid is a generational talent. Now, there are some factors that are going to be considered when we talk about the Sixers and then possibly making a play for the NBA championship. One, where is James Harden right now? Like, is James Harden going to be the guy he was, say, 2 years ago, or a year when he was that last little run with the Nets where he was actually doing his thing and then become MIA at times, where he was, you know, putting up triple doubles and filling up the stat sheet and really contributing with his team? Is he going to be that guy, or is he going to be on a milk carton at the beginning of the season with the Sixers? You know, where we at with Maxi, where we at with Tobias Harris? You know, it can't just be a one-man show. You have to have your contributors, if you're the Sixers. And we already know that Morey is always in the lab cooking up something. You know, they added PJ Tucker. So he's going to be looking to add pieces that he thinks is going to help this team get to where they need to, which is the promised land in an NBA championship. But it all starts with Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid staying healthy, being who he is going to propel this team in a weak Eastern Conference.
I love Embiid. He shouldn't have won the MVP last year. They got it correct with Jokic. But Embiid is great. I think he'll be in the mix this year. But I still think Luka is going to win. Embiid's just going to get like another second place finish. Unfortunately,
he's the new James Harden. It's appropriate that they are teammates because he's going to be second in MVP voting in consecutive 3 years straight.
Tobias Harris is hit and miss. PJ Tucker is a good addition. Harden, a lot is going to hinge on him and like who he is. Like, can he get you 25 a night consistently, but like efficiently as well? Or is he just going to be a guy we saw for the playoffs where he just ain't looking like James Harden anymore? But I love Maxi. I think Tyrese Maxi is actually their second best player. I think he should handle the ball a little bit more, and Harden should play off the ball a little bit, which for James Harden, playing off the ball just means standing there and hope someone passes him the ball. But I love Maxi. They added some depth. My two concerns are Harden and whether or not he can still be the guy, or if he thinks he's the guy, but he's not anymore. And obviously Doc Rivers, because Doc Rivers, we have seen him plenty of times just screw things up. And Money Mark says that same thing. Doc Rivers is going to fuck it up eventually. Yes, it happens. Matt Payne says Timberwolves another great defender.
Don't do that to my boy Doc.
He is.
Don't do that to my boy Doc.
But
come on.
Jeremy took some of my shine here because when I was going to talk about the Sixers, I was going to talk Tyrese Maxi. He's he is going to complete the triangle of second place MVP getters. He is going to be a second place MVP voter soon because he's playing with James Harden. He's playing with Joel Embiid, and he's the perfect guy to be with James Harden on defense and offense. He shoots 45% on catch and shoot threes. He can close out on the second side of the floor, but it's really all y'all say is Joel Embiid. Yes, it starts with Joel Embiid. He's going to be the leader. He's going to be He's going to be top 2 MVP voter for sure. That's just how things work. But it comes down to James Harden. At the end of the day, he is the most immobile defender in all of basketball. immobile. He can't get from one side of the floor to the other. So this man needs to get better. He needs to play, more cohesive. He got a full year with Embiid, with this team. And I agree with you. There are question marks on this team, like Tobias Harris. I like the addition of PJ Tucker. I like the addition of Harrell coming off the bench. House Jr., he's got, experience with the Warriors. So they have all these pieces. Matisse Thybulle, I think he's appropriately on the bench, and he's like the defensive leader of this team. But he's the worst offensive player in all of the NBA, in my opinion. But he is the key defender coming off the bench for this team. So they're going to be one of the best offensive team. I think they're going to be top 3 in offense, especially with the combination of Maxi, Harden, and Embiid. But defensively and Harden are the big question marks for them.
SP3, you have the Bucks representing the East in the finals. Why are you high on the Bucks? Besides, I mean, the sort of obvious, but give me your thoughts on the Bucks.
I mean, I'll be honest. I know with a lot of people, it's going to be, what has Giannis done for you lately? People tend to forget things. If it's not the last season, they tend to forget this man was the NBA Finals MVP, back-to-back NBA MVP. He's won multiple Defensive Player of the Year. He should have multiple Defensive Player of the Years by now. He will be Defensive Player of the Year this year, in my opinion. And I think just the health being back together with Chris Middleton being healthy, he's going to have to ease into things, recovering from the left knee strain and left wrist surgery. But I think by like mid-season, by probably like December, January, this team's going to be cooking on all cylinders. I don't think they're going to be the 1 seed in the regular season because, like I said, if you're a champion, you don't really play that to your full potential in the regular season. You let the Suns and the Hawks of the world do that type of crap. You just play enough to get home court advantage, to be considered a contender, and I think that's what they're going to do. This core has been together for a couple of years now with Drew Holiday, with Brook Lopez, Pat Connaughton, George Hill, Joe Ingles now being on the team. That's gonna be good and be a attack to their offense, being back full health now. Bobby Portis. So they have this core that's been together for such a long time. They are one of the oldest teams, and I think that's going to be kind of the question, is how healthy they're going to be throughout the season. But I think when it comes to playoff time, I think we're going to get a battle of the last two champions of the Warriors and the Bucks.
Nick, where you at on the Bucks?
I like them. A couple things on the Bucks for me. First of all, healthy Chris Middleton is going to help this team a great deal. You have Chris healthy, it's going to help them a great deal. Freudian slip there for me when I say the word hate. Jeremy, you talked about how you're from North Carolina, right?
Yes. Unfortunately, in Ohio now.
So you watch Duke a lot, and you've watched Grayson Allen a lot.
Yes. It's fair. That's fair. I already know what you're going to say. It's fair.
So, but, in the NBA, suffice it to say, you need a guy like that on your team. So I think that's going to help them out a lot too. I've always liked Drew Holiday. I think he's fantastic. But I don't think the Bucks really hit their stride until mid-season when Joe Ingles can play. I feel like Ingles was a big pickup for the Bucks, but he's still recovering from that injury. So when he's actually able to come back and contribute to the Bucks when they need it most for that playoff push, I think that's really so the Bucks may not even be at the beginning of the season, may not even be a top 3 seed. But I think you see that push mid-season, and we get to see who the Bucks really are. And that's when you really need it, is getting ready for the playoffs. So, and I don't think, home court advantage, I don't think is really going to matter a lot when you got Giannis. So, I mean, I don't think they even have to be a top 3 or 4 seed to make noise in the playoffs. They just got to get there, and they will get there.
I think the Bucks, they gave the Celtics all they could handle in the playoffs last year, and that was without Middleton. I don't know if people are sleeping on the Bucks because they still have Giannis, and it's tough to sleep on the best player in the world. But that's still a team that's going to be an issue, assuming they're healthy. And they might have a move up their sleeve as well come deadline time. We shall see. The Nets were a sexy pick coming into last season, and then a lot of things went awry. Now this season, they're not as sexy as a pick. Ben Simmons is healthy, whatever that's going to mean. Kyrie is playing in all of the games, I assume. Kevin Durant's still Kevin Durant. He's got to stay healthy. Where are we at? Where are we at on the Nets? Nick, I want your thoughts on the Nets. I kind of know SV3's thoughts. Where are you at on the Nets, Nick?
Ben Simmons. Oh, Ben Simmons, my side. Oh, geez. In all seriousness, pull a Lance Storm if I could be serious for a moment. The Nets are going to have the biggest drop off in the league this year.
Like an 8 seed last year.
I don't even think they're making the playoffs.
Damn.
Wow.
To be honest. Now,
That's a very hot take.
That is a hot take.
Follow me on this.
Okay.
No cohesiveness. Ben Simmons is going to be super exposed. Super exposed. Because when have you ever seen a season where Ben Simmons was actually dope? Like, let's be for real. Like, in all of this time in the league where he's been, looked at as supposedly supposed to be like a really great player. Like, and again, being from Louisiana, I've seen Ben Simmons a lot. When was he ever dope in the NBA? Ever. I just don't see it. KD don't want to be there. Kyrie, I don't know where he wants to be. Maybe out of space. Like,
I have inside information on my family. Don't worry.
I'm just saying, maybe he wants to be in outer space so he can prove that the earth is flat. I don't know. This team is just, like, I don't see them doing any, and it's a waste. Kevin Durant may not even end the season in Brooklyn. KD may try to get out early, and they try to make a deal to get him out of there. And then your leader is Kyrie Irving. That has never been a good thing for anybody, ever. So, yeah, I am extremely low on the Brooklyn Nets, and I don't even see them making it to the playoffs. Next question.
SV3, please defend your family member, Kyrie Irving.
Kyrie Irving he's going to win comeback player of the year. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. Kyrie Irving. I have relations to him, Nick, due to his family having relations with my family. So we
Respect.
family. So I have to defend. I am the defender of Kyrie Irving on here's YouTube and media, the new media leader of defending Kyrie Irving. He's gonna be back and better than ever. Him and KD, we're gonna get a full season. Not a full season. It's not gonna be 82 games. That's a little presumptuous. It's gonna be 65 or more games of Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant together. Yes. Y'all are gonna see it, and they're going to make the playoffs. I don't know. I think if they overachieve, they could be a top 4 seed. But at current present, I have them being a confident playoff team. No play-in this year. Playoff team. That's what I feel for the Brooklyn Nets. Mostly because both of the things that Nick says contradict each other. He says the Nets is not making the playoffs, but before that, he says the East sucks, and I don't see other than 5 teams in the East better than the Brooklyn Nets, especially if my projections, what my family tells me, are correct. If they play 60 or more games
Inside information.
If they play 60 or more games with Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, and maybe we get 10 games out of Ben Simmons, we are in there. Brooklyn Nets. I'm going to Brooklyn playoff games, ladies and gentlemen. I'm doing it for the media, for the new media, for the FMC. I will go to Brooklyn Nets playoff game if they prove me right. They will be a top 6 seed, no play-in playoff team in the East.
So you got the Nets and the Knicks making the playoffs, don't you?
No, hell no. I don't got the Knicks. I hate the Knicks. I don't like. No.
Come on.
No. I only got enough energy for 2 tumultuous teams in my life. So Knicks had to be on the back burner. I'm a Lakers fan, and I got family on the Nets. That's all I can do. That's all I can handle. My mom's been a Knicks fan for her entire life. I was like, how was it when you were a little girl and you saw the Knicks win the championship? How was that? I ask her that all the time. I can't be it. I've never been a Knicks fan. Never.
I think I'm higher on Ben Simmons. Definitely than Nick is. That most people are. Look, Ben Simmons, he's never going to be able to shoot. It's just not going to happen. But as a playmaker, very good. If Durant will move off the ball. Is Kyrie going to move off the ball? I don't know. But Simmons can set him up.
He has before, though. He has with LeBron.
Yeah. Did he?
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. I watched those games. Yes, he did.
All right.
I didn't live in Ohio Simmons, then. You missed those games.
I think Ben Simmons, can play a good role on this Nets team. Like SP3 said, the East ain't all that great. I'm not fuck Kevin Durant. I'm not betting against a healthy Kevin Durant because he's still one of the best players in the world. I think the Nets are a playoff team. There are a lot of question marks. Their depth took a hit. Their health is going to be an issue. Just the vibes are going to be an issue with those 3 guys. But they're a playoff team at the very least. They are a playoff team. Kevin Durant was my leader for MVP before he got hurt.
He was my pick for MVP last season.
And I love Kevin Durant. Okay, let me clarify and make some stuff real clear. First of all, Kevin Durant to me, best player in the world right now, even over LeBron James. Now I feel you. I feel you on that. I feel you on that. But you got to separate the player from the man.
Not as a Thunder fan. Not as a Thunder fan. I don't.
I know. So why don't you keep the same energy for James Harden though? Why don't you keep the same energy for James Harden?
I do keep the same. I don't like James Harden either.
You don't like Russ
in the finals?
No, I like Russ. Russ at least was loyal. James Harden at least got traded and was like, okay, fine. Kevin Durant left after blowing a 3-1 lead because he forgot how to shoot the ball in game 6 and then went to the team that beat him.
Right.
And then went to the team that beat him.
Right. That to me was worse than what LeBron did. Like people brag on LeBron for what he did. Kevin Durant did something even worse. Not only did you leave, but you left to go to the team that beat you because you felt like they had the best chance to win a championship. And I understand where the F Kevin Durant, because I don't cuss. The F Kevin Durant stuff comes from. I understand it. I get it. But as a player,
he's one of my favorite players to watch, and he's one of the best players in the league. But it's still fuck Kevin Durant all day.
I know. And you got keep that energy, baby. Keep that energy for when you see them not make the playoffs, and you can say, "Yeah, that's what you get." Keep that same energy. But no, look, man. I understand. You got Kyrie Irving, who again, another guy who's he's a fantastic basketball player. But and I know that's your family, but Jesus, this dude, come on. And then Ben Simmons. I'm sorry. I can't with Ben.
I ain't even mentioned Ben Simmons. I said 10 games.
I can't with Ben. It is. I could see them making the playoffs. I don't have them making the playoffs because I just don't think it's going to be an absolute dumpster fire in Brooklyn all season long, and it's gonna be fun to watch everything off of the court and not even pay attention to what's going on the court. So no to Brooklyn. No.
The
No
Boston
sleep till Brooklyn, but no to Brooklyn Nets. No.
The Boston Celtics were in the finals last year. They're going through some stuff with their coaching, but they're bringing back largely the same team. And then they also added Malcolm Brogdon. I think a lot of people are high on Boston. I'm pretty high on Boston. I definitely think they're a top 3 seed once I go through my rundown. But like, where are we at on Boston? Nick, what do you think happens with Boston? Because Brogdon seemed to be a missing piece for them.
It's going to be hard for Boston to recover from everything that happened during the offseason, especially considering that they won't have their head coach. They got a roster, man. They got a team. Tatum, Brown, Smart, Williams, Horford, Brogdon, Grant Williams too. Like they're deep. They got a team, so they got players. So they're still going to be good. I don't see them getting back to the finals, but I think they'll still be good. Personally, I now hate the Boston Celtics with the fire of 1,000 suns because their coach cheated on Nia Long. You don't do that, man. Come on. But as a team, I think they're really good.
SC3, where you at on the Celtics?
The Celtics have a lot more things for them to overcome. I did a preview before, and I had them as a number 1 seed, and I don't think I would go that far today because, the Udoka thing is one thing, being suspended, and then your head coach, Joe Mazzulla, I think that's how you pronounce it. He has basically no head coaching experience at all, let alone NBA experience. So you have to get over that. You have to get Brogdon into the offense and into the chemistry. You have to improve your clutch performance, your clutch offense, because that was an issue the entire season and most notable in the NBA finals. And then on top of all of that, you got Robert Williams, who had knee surgery that's going to keep him out for the first month of the season. So they have to overcome a lot to even, get into things. But what they proved last season is that they can withstand anything. They were 25-25, ladies and gentlemen, to start the season last season, and then became the most dominant team going into the playoffs, and then made it to the NBA finals. And I think after the suspension, with Udoka back, with Williams back, I think the second half of the season, they're going to be that dominant team again. They still got Marcus Smart, who's a defensive juggernaut, defensive player of the year. You got Jaylen Brown, you got Jason Tatum. That duo, they probably the best duo, or in the argument for the best duo in the East. Al Horford's still there. So you still got a lot of your core contributors on this team. Grant Williams, Derek White, who's key for his shooting, 3-and-D type of guy. So they have all these players. They're a deep roster, but I don't think we're going to see that deep roster until 2023. I think past January, that's when we're going to see the Celtics at full health.
I like Boston. Brogdon, getting him, that definitely was the missing piece for them. And then the coaching stuff happened, and that's gonna set them back and everything. Yeah. I think as players, they can do enough to sort of rally around the new coach, rally around each other to be okay. I think they'll be in the Eastern Conference Finals. Actually, no, I like the Bucks over them, assuming health. But I do like Boston during the regular season. They're going to be a good team. The other team I want to hit on is the Cleveland Cavaliers. I don't want to say my Cleveland Cavaliers just because I live in Ohio, but the Cavs made the big trade.
Cleveland Cavaliers. That's my East team. That's okay. I'm saying it now.
Tell me about them.
I'm saying it right now. This team, and this is going to be my Eastern Conference team for the next 5 years, because these dudes are young. They're going to be fun to watch. You got one of the best backcourts in all of the NBA with Darius Garland, who I think is going to take that next step I think like with Minnesota, I think Minnesota and Cleveland are going to be the two teams to watch in each conference, because it's not even about the big trade with Donovan Mitchell going to Cleveland and Rudy Gobert going to Minnesota. It's the fact that they did get those guys, and then they have another guy who might be on the cusp of superstardom with Anthony Edwards for the Minnesota Timberwolves and Darius Garland for the Cleveland Cavaliers. But with Cleveland, they not only got Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, I think, is on the cusp of superstardom as well. I think he's going to be one of the premier front court defensive players in this league. I think he's going to take that next step. He was a revelation as a rookie of the year. He's a future defensive player of the year candidate, in my opinion. And I think he's going to take that next step from what he did last year. Jared Allen is in that similar vein. I think he's another guy that has that potential if he can reach it to be a defensive player of the year candidate. Really, their only question mark is going to be Isaac Okoro at small forward, and then their bench. They do have some good pieces, some veterans like Kevin Love, who I think is going to be probably the core of their bench, their reserves. And then you got Karis LeVert, who's at a so-so season, in my opinion, but I think he's going to step up being in Cleveland for a full season after splitting time in different places. So I think that Cleveland is going to take the biggest jump in the East. That's why I have them as my Eastern Conference team.
Where you at on Cleveland, Nick?
It's hard to argue with that. You look at the roster, you look at what they were able to do last year. Yes, you have Mitchell. Yes, you have Mobley. Yes, you have Darius Garland. But you also got Jared Allen. You got Karis LeVert. You are stacked if you're Cleveland. They may make a deal to get, and somebody in the comments just said it, and it's true. They need a 3. They need a solid 3 on the team. But overall, I think Cleveland is one of those teams in the East that can really make that ascent as top 3, top 4 team. And I totally see it this season. Now, with Cleveland, you still have the LeBron stink. If you are, when I say stink, I mean, LeBron won a championship and left. There are some people who are still upset about it. There's some who they're like, you won a championship. You can do whatever the heck you want to do. Bye. We'll see you later. But you got you're there. So what part of Ohio do you live in?
Akron.
Okay, so there you go.
I'm like 10 minutes away from the I Promise school.
That is ground zero. So of course, in that area, LeBron can really do no wrong. But outside of that, you go to Dayton or something like that, and there's gonna be folks who are upset, that he left. And why didn't you stay and win more championships and all this stuff? This team can really separate themselves from that era and do their own thing. So where the Cleveland Cavaliers are like, okay, we possibly could have a winning tradition in Cleveland if this team can stay solid. I don't think they're a championship team. I'm not saying that. But I think they could be a high caliber Eastern Conference team because as has been pointed out, I said it and I'm not backtracking from it. East stinks. But they do have some solid teams. Like overall, the Eastern Conference stinks. But they do have some solid teams, and Cleveland is one of those solid teams.
I like Cleveland. I love that they went out and got Donovan Mitchell. I'm high on certainly Garland and Mobley. Like I think they're going to take an even bigger step this year. I actually like their bench. I like Dean Wade. I like Okoro. Karis LeVert coming off the bench. And then Kevin Love. He's gonna kind of lead that second unit. Jared Allen was hurt at the end of last season and then going into the play-in game. And that took a lot out of them because he was great. He was an all-star last year. He was great for them last year. So a healthy Jared Allen now with Donovan Mitchell there. I think it will take a little bit of time to find some chemistry because Mitchell is so used to being ball dominant. And now Darius Garland's going to need his own touches. Mobley's going to need his touches. LeVert's going to handle the ball a lot. So Mitchell's going to have to take a little bit of a backseat there. And that might take a little bit of time to find some chemistry. Otherwise, I absolutely love Cleveland. The other team I want to touch on, probably the last team in the East, and then we'll kind of run down everything. But the Atlanta Hawks, they got Trae Young. They added Dejounte Murray. Where are we at on Atlanta? Because I think on paper, they were Eastern Conference final team 2 years ago. Health played some factor. There was some stuff. The Sixers imploded to help the Hawks and everything. But look, they made it to the Eastern Conference Finals, regardless of how they get there. They beat the teams in front of them. Last year, big step back, getting Murray. Where we at on the Atlanta Hawks, Nick?
Trae Young was on Sammy's A before any of us. Let me say that first and foremost. He was there at the beginning. Does that might make him an honorary Oos, and if that's the case, then it's lights out for the Hawks. I like Atlanta a lot. Atlanta, for the past couple of seasons, has been a team of potential, but they haven't really since they went as far as they did a couple years ago. They haven't really lived up to that potential, right? I mean, you got Trae Young, you got Murray, you got John Collins, Clint Capella, Bogdanovich, who is still a solid player. So you got the guys. Can they take that next step with Trae? Is Trae the kind of guy who can be the leader to take you to that next step? Because he, much like John Morant, exciting player to watch. You love watching Trae Young play basketball. Is he the guy that's going to get you to the next level? And this season will really be kind of a testing ground for that. Can he take you to that next level? I want to see it. I want to see it because I like Trae a lot, man. I like Trae Young as a player and as a guy. I like Trae. Can he take you to the next level? We're going to see.
SP3, how do you feel about the Hawks?
I am a big fan of Trae Young because he murked the New York Knicks in Madison Square Garden, and anyone who does that, I'm a huge fan of. Even Reggie Miller, even after his fight with Kobe, I was still a fan of his because he murked the Knicks. I appreciate stuff like that. So I think that they have a good starting five. I think their depth is one issue outside of their starting five because they have a couple of good key reserves like Bogdanovich and Onyeka Okonu, who needs to improve as far as like his skills. He brings plenty of energy off the bench, but skill wise, they have to improve. Their biggest issue, defense. Like, are they going to follow the lead of DeJounte Murray? DeJounte Murray is one of the best all-around players in the NBA, probably underrated in that department, but he can be that defensive backbone for this team. Do they follow him? Do they get a healthy and motivated DeAndre Hunter, who's going to be trying to get a contract extension this year? I have him on my fantasy team because I'm like, people that try to get a contract extension always usually have a big year. So I'm expecting Hunter to really contribute. He's going to be one of their high level defenders on this team, and he's going to be key to if they're going to follow in the lead of Murray or if they're going to be one of the worst defensive teams like they were last year. And in moments of truth, and they had a lot of close games, and it just came down to their defense breaking down at the wrong point in the fourth quarter. So if they can have those close games again and get the stops when they're needed behind Murray, I think this team can be in the playoffs. For me, I think they're going to be in the play-in, but I'm not sure about the playoffs.
I love Trae Young. Been very high on Trae Young. I think he got a bad rap last season because the Hawks just weren't as good. His numbers are good. Defensively, that team is just a complete trash fire. And that is the issue. But as an offensive player, Trae Young's great. The one thing I need to see from him is more off-ball stuff, especially with Murray, because now the ball is going to be out of his hands more, and I need to see Trae moving. Nobody's Steph, but what makes Steph great is that he just ain't standing around dribbling, okay, step back three and everything. He's moving off the ball, just trying to get open, trying to create for himself when the ball's not in his hands. Can Trae Young do that? This is his opportunity to prove that he can do it. But I do like Atlanta. I'm big on DeJounte Murray. I think he's a great addition to this team, and I expect that them to take a step as well. All right, let's get into any other teams you want to hit on. Maybe a sleeper team like Toronto's there, Chicago's there. Any other sleeper teams? The Nets or the Knicks. I know you love the Knicks, SP3. The Heat. I mean, that was the 1 seed last year. We didn't really even talk about the Heat. Any teams you want to get on there?
Guys,
how are we not talking about the Miami Heat? How are we not talking about the Miami Heat?
They lost PJ Tucker.
I will repeat. How are we not talking about? Did they lose Jimmy Butler?
That's all that matters.
They gained a lot of Jimmy Butler hair. This man coming in with dreadlocks this season.
Which means Jimmy Butler was already a menace. Now with dreadlocks, he is a straight up problem. You kidding me? That man about to be like a Haitian with 15 jobs. You just don't want to see him on the streets. It's crazy. But you got Bam Adebayo, you got Kyle Lowry, Tyler Hero, man. Come on. Like one of the most underrated players in the league to me.
I agree.
Tyler is going to be a huge factor for the Miami Heat. So I still see them as one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference. How are we not talking about the Heat, man? Come on.
I'm not high on Miami. I think Eric Spoelstra is the best coach. I like Jimmy Butler. I like Bam Adebayo. I don't know. Like last season they were a surprise team. I didn't suspect they'd get the 1 seed. They lost in the conference finals, but they still made the conference finals. I'm not super high on the Miami Heat. They're a playoff team. I think Boston, Philly, Milwaukee are all better than Miami.
I think
surprise team. It wasn't that long ago they were in the NBA finals.
This is true.
Team.
That season doesn't count though because it was in the bubble. The Lakers ring doesn't count.
It does
the Lakers ring doesn't
count.
No.
I wanted to go in on this last week. But I'm gonna go in on it now because you said it. But I watched Legacy about the Los Angeles Lakers and the Lakers dedicating that season and wanting to finish that season. Although they voted, they didn't really want to go that season. They wanted to protect everyone from the pandemic. They didn't want to play that season, but when the vote decided that they were going to play, they wanted to play and win the championship for Kobe Bryant. So by saying that championship doesn't matter, you're saying the championship dedicated to one of the greatest players of all time doesn't matter, Jeremy. That is preposterous.
Jeremy, do you hate Kobe Bryant?
You hate Kobe Bryant.
This isn't nice.
You hate Kobe Bryant.
This isn't nice. It's not. I think Kobe.
Thank you, Nick. You see it. You see this.
Do you feel the same way about Kobe Bryant that you do about Kevin Durant?
Absolutely not. No.
Let's talk it out. Let's talk it out right now. Come on.
I think Kobe is great. I'm not gonna besmirch Kobe Bryant. That ring does not count because it was in the bubble.
You're contradicting yourself.
Mickey Mouse ring. Just because they dedicated it to Kobe doesn't put it on a different level.
Yes, it should.
No, it doesn't.
Everybody had to go through the same type of conditions and everything.
Don't disparage the bubble.
Exactly.
The bubble was actually like some of the best basketball I've ever seen.
It was.
Bubble ball. Bubble ball was great.
We talked a lot of the things that we talked about came out of the bubble. John Moran. We talked about Jamal Murray becoming a star there. That was a great time, in my opinion.
And real quick, I know somebody in the comments just said it. I know we gotta wrap up and talk about the rest of the East Conference. But remember when Coach Spo was supposed to be like he was just holding the seat warm for Pat Riley to come down from the Raptors and take over as the coach and and he's about the longest tenured coach in the NBA now.
Yep.
So let's give Spoelstra his flowers now because he came in as a supposed lame duck, and now he's right up there with like Steve Kerr and some of the other coaches as one of the best coaches in the league.
But he followed in the footsteps of Pat Riley. Like a lot of like me, I knew about his history, but seeing the stuff like Legacy and Winning Time, Pat Riley, he was a commentator that was just supposed to come on and help Westhead back in the 80s when McMillan had the accident on his bike. He wasn't supposed to be there full time. So it kind of is appropriate that his successor, Spo, kind of has that similar, like everybody said after they failed that first season with the big three in Miami, people thought, oh, Pat Riley's taking over. Pat Riley's taking over the next season. And when he did it, and then they win the championship, and ever since then, he's been one of the best coaches in the league. As far as this team this year, I think the big question is Kyle Lowry. Is Kyle Lowry done? Is he fit for duty? Is he ready to go? Is his durability gonna be, good as we get to the later stages of the season? Because like I said, I think this team is confidently in the top 5, but I think they're at the bottom end of that top 5 in the East. But they could necessarily drop. If the Nets overachieve, I think the Nets could be better than them. If Toronto overachieves, because they have a young core with Scotty Barnes, Pascal Siakam is still there. They got the vets that they need as well. I think the big question for Toronto is how good is Scotty Barnes going to be coming off the Rookie of the Year? Is he going to hit that sophomore wall? You got Fred VanVleet, you got Gary Trent. So I think those teams, the Nets, Raptors, and Heat, they could be in that top 5 conversation, or one of those teams could be in a play-in situation by the end of the year. I think those teams are pretty much even due to the issues or the question marks that they got going into the season.
I like Toronto. I really like Scotty Barnes. I think Toronto actually finishes higher than Miami. That's my bold prediction out there. I like Nick Nurse as well. I think he's a very good coach.
Yeah.
All right. Give me your 8. Real quickly. Trey Jones says, so if anyone but the Lakers won, would it count? No, it didn't matter who won.
Yes, I guarantee you, if Miami beat the Lakers, you would still be talking about it. That is a bold-faced lie. No. That is a bold-faced lie.
None of what happened in the bubble matters. Anything that happened in the bubble, none of it matters because none of it was sustainable. Anthony Davis.
Right, thank you for joining
Anthony Davis. How great of a 3-point shooter is he when he's got a crowd heckling him?
Somebody cut his mic.
The ball when a crowd is
one guy.
Him?
One guy. Cut his mic. One guy. You point out one guy.
Come on, man. Oh, respect the bubble.
Bubble did have great basketball. I'm gonna rag on the bubble ring all the time.
Talking out of
I'm
both
ragging
sides
on the
of
Mickey
his
Mouse ring all the time.
Oh.
Everyone who actually knows I'm mad about the bubble because that we should have imploded the Rockets that season, and then Billy Donovan can't even win a road game in the bubble. He can't win a road game in the bubble. How's that even possible?
There we
How's
go.
it possible?
Now we get to the root of it.
Now it's always the Thunder. The Thunder is just the cause of all my pain, no matter what. That's really what it comes down to. Is everything that I hate is because of the Oklahoma City Thunder, my favorite basketball team. That's really the root of it. And I'm just trolling SP3 for people who don't get it.
There it
Lakers. Is. Yeah, that's what it really is. But that Mickey Mouse ring still doesn't count. Not a real ring. All right, give me your 8 teams in the Eastern Conference. 8 SP3.
8.
I'll give you 10, and then who wins the play-in, as per usual. Number 1, I think that regular season, you guys are right. Sixers are gonna overachieve, not overachieve, but meet their potential, and they're gonna be the number 1 seed in the East. Number 2, I think it's going to be Boston. I think Boston, once again, once they get healthy, they get Udoka back, they're going to have a killer second half of the season, and they're going to finish second again. Third, I'm going to Cleveland Cavaliers, or should I say my Cleveland Cavaliers. I've been to Cleveland, y'all, so I could claim them now. I've been to Cleveland. It's my Cleveland Cavaliers. Number 4, the Milwaukee Bucks. I think the Bucks are going from the 4th seed to the finals. That's what I think. When they underachieve in the regular season, that's when they overachieve in the playoffs. Number 5, I'll go with the Miami Heat. Number 6, I'll go with Toronto Raptors. Number 7, the Chicago Bulls. Number 8, the Atlanta Hawks. No, actually, I gotta revamp all of this. Okay, I just realized I made a mistake. Number 5, I'll actually go. Yeah, Miami. I'm not too confident in those question marks. Number 5, I'll go Brooklyn Nets. Number 6, Miami Heat.
See.
Number 7, Toronto Raptors.
You were right the first time. You were right the first time.
Number 7, Toronto Raptors. Number 8, Chicago Bulls. Number 9, Atlanta Hawks. Number 10, let's go with. I think Paolo is gonna have a huge year, so I'm gonna go with Orlando, even though they're a dumpster fire.
All right, so who wins the play-in games?
The play-in games will be won by the Atlanta Hawks and the Toronto Raptors.
Who you got in the East?
Let me give you my 8
Thank you.
seeds. So the 1 seed will be the Milwaukee Bucks. 2 seed, Philadelphia 76ers. 3 seed, Miami Heat. Your Celtics at the 4. Celtics at the 4. Let's go. Cavs 5. Hawks 6.
Wow.
Bulls 7. Wait a minute. Have I said Toronto yet?
No.
Toronto 7. Bulls 8.
Okay. Right,
Now, that pains me because I think Charlotte will actually be a good team again this year.
I think Melo being out and no Bridges.
I know, but
I don't have confidence in them to even make the play in anymore.
I know it's I still I don't know why, but I just feel like they could still possibly do something this year. I don't know why, but and look out for the Pistons this year too.
We was clairvoyant because I literally was about to say that. I was like, Pistons about to be a sleeper though. I think they could compete for that 10th spot.
Pistons could absolutely upset the apple cart this year. So just stay looking out for the Pistons because they could be real solid this year. They got shooters, they got a big that can play and just really run the length of the court. So look out for the Pistons. But you know who you don't need to look out for? The Brooklyn Nets, because they will be trash. And they're going to light that trash on fire, and we're all going to watch the dumpster fire for the entirety of the season.
Well, now watch Brooklyn be number 1 in the East. We're going to invite Nick back on so he can eat that crow.
No,
when my family member, Kyrie, averaging 27, 8 assists, 60-plus games.
He's going to be averaging all that on his way to the house. I don't doubt the numbers. I don't doubt the numbers, but yeah.
Trey says the Miami hate is disgusting. Well, get ready, Trey.
Come on.
My 1 seed, Philadelphia 76ers. 2, Cleveland Cavaliers. 3, Milwaukee Bucks. 4, Boston Celtics. 5, Toronto Raptors. 6, Miami Heat. 7, Brooklyn Nets. 8. What was I missing here? Where's my 8 seed at? 7 teams make it. Atlanta was my 8 seed.
Oh, I was
about to say where you got Atlanta, man.
Yeah. Atlanta's 8. Yeah, Atlanta's 8. I named them.
Did you mention the Bulls at all?
No, I don't like the Bulls.
What?
He's not high on the Bulls.
Billy Donovan's their coach. They're probably a play-in team.
Here we go.
No,
let it go.
Billy Donovan. Don't like
Come on, Elsa. Let it go.
No.
He don't let nothing go, Nick.
Oh man.
Don't trust Billy
This is
Donovan.
what I have to deal with. He's talking about what he has to deal with. This is what I have to deal with.
Lonzo being hurt, that crippled their season last year. Is their defense fell apart when Lonzo got hurt. I don't know if Lonzo's holding up. DeMar DeRozan, great. He hits a bunch of mid-range shots and sure, whatever. Not big on DeRozan. Not big on the Bulls.
So you can put Kevin Durant in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But you can't put Billy Donovan in there.
Because Kevin Durant's a good basketball player. Billy Donovan is not a good basketball coach.
Differences. There's key in big differences. But I will say, the Lonzo Ball being out for the Bulls is huge. He's not, I don't think he's coming back this season from how it's sounding. And once again, man, do the Bulls have the worst luck with point guards in NBA history?
Oh, man.
Derrick Rose, Jay Williams, now Lonzo Ball, like that. Yeah, I've never heard of something like at the same position with and then with Lonzo and Derrick Rose, it's very similar. Slow to heal left knees. Like it's too similar. All of these situations, but other than that, they still have a good depth in their roster. Alex Caruso, he's the best option to fill the void for Lonzo Ball. Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan is going to be some of the best combo of scorers in the NBA. Patrick Williams, I think, is going to take the next step. He's a key defender for the team. Nikola Vucic, he's going to be good at the center spot. So they have players, but yeah, at best, I think they're 8th seed, and they probably are not going to make the playoffs.
They'll be in a play-in. They ain't winning anything. I gave my 8. I stick by my 8. All right, give me your champion, SP3. Who's winning it all?
The 2023 NBA champions will be. I've changed my pick twice already, and I'm going to make it a third time. The Milwaukee Bucks. The Milwaukee Bucks will be the 2023 NBA champions. I think Giannis Antetokounmpo will be a top 10 all-time player to some people. There will be some people who make that argument after he gets another defensive player of the year this season, he wins another championship, another finals MVP, and they beat the Golden State Warriors, which may be the final time the Golden State Warriors make the NBA finals, and he beats another all-time great player in Stephen Curry. Giannis Antetokounmpo is gonna create his legacy with this win.
Nick, who you got winning the title?
To quote one of my favorite movies of all time, Warriors come out to play. Look, man, as SP3 said, this may be the final time that this team is constituted the way that they are. This may be their final run towards the championship. Boy, you talk about a team playing with their hair on fire. Wait till you see what the Golden State Warriors, if they, again, this is going to be predicated on health in all sports, in any sport. Success of a team is going to be predicated on health. If your core players can stay healthy, then you have just about as good a chance as anybody else to win a championship. But when you have the lineup that the Warriors have, and then you add Wiseman into the mix, it's like adding Kurt Angle into the mix. Other teams' chances drastically go down. We're doing the Steiner math on this one. I got the Warriors almost cruising to an NBA championship and beating the 76ers in the finals in 5.
Wow.
So I'm going to give you a game prediction on top of it.
I mean, look,
yeah, I got Bucks in 7. I think it's going to, I will change my mind tomorrow and say the Warriors.
This flip flop is not doing yourself any case here.
That's fine. You know what? I'm a flip flop right now. I'm going with the Golden State Warriors. Nick's argument was so convincing.
Anyway, SP3 is now off the show. I'll bring him back because he'll want to ridicule my pick when I pick the Denver Nuggets to win the NBA championship. The Denver Nuggets, Jokic. I'm going. See, everyone wants to go with the safe picks like the Bucks and the Warriors because they've been here and everything. At some point, we get a new team in this mix. It happens all the time in the NBA. The NBA is like sometimes the most unpredictable in the world. Because the Sixers are a good pick. I mean, that's my finals pick. That's who they beat in the finals, Nuggets in 6. But the NBA is so crazy because everybody's demanding trades. Everybody wants to go elsewhere. Health, as you said, Nick, a lot depends on health.
Yeah,
the NBA is nuts from season to season. The Nuggets, they got cohesion. They got the chemistry. They got Jokic. SP3, you're muted. Great job trying to just talk while you're muting. You muted yourself. I didn't even mute you.
Yeah, I muted myself on purpose.
Yeah, because they got Jokic, they got Murray, they got Michael Porter Jr., they got Aaron Gordon. They got a core that's been there, that's been through the trials and tribulations together. They get over the hump. Denver Nuggets, 2023 NBA champions, just like the Stanley Cup 2022 Stanley Cup champion, Colorado Avalanche, Denver, baby.
Oh, here we go.
Let's ride. Let's
Here we
ride,
go.
Denver.
Here we go. First of all, I can't wait for the Sabres to just finally live up to their potential and win a
I like
Stanley
Alex
Cup.
Tuck. I like Alex Tuck.
Yeah. The Sabres are dope. Secondly, I can see the Nuggets winning it. I could absolutely see, and honestly, not as a troll mechanism towards SP3. This
I'm
is
not
like
trolling. That's my
Yeah,
pick.
he's trolling. He's trolling.
a
No.
little
y'all.
bit, a little bit of
Because
troll.
this is on record. I'm not gonna
Little
troll. Like if I troll on Twitter, I'll troll on Twitter. But I'm not gonna troll on this show. I truly believe in the Nuggets. I truly believe what I'm saying. Because you can go with chalk stuff, Warriors, Bucks, sure, but like it happens every year. So there's some crazy thing that happens, and a surprise team comes up. No one had the Heat in the finals. That finals appearance didn't actually count, but no one had the Heat in the final.
Now you're trolling.
Now he's
Now it's
trolling.
trolling.
Now you're trolling.
The
But no,
Celtics? Who had the Celtics in the finals
A
last
bunch
year?
of people did after the end of their
Nah.
regular season. Yeah.
A lot of people.
At the end of the regular season, sure. But no one had him at the beginning of the regular season. And no one had him in December when everyone was like, trade Jason Tatum, trade Jaylen Brown. No one had him then. Crazy stuff happens in the
That's
NBA.
because in January they went on a roll. They went on an epic roll
Yeah.
starting in January and got to where they were and went to the finals. Look, I see what you're saying. I don't necessarily disagree with how they could possibly win it. And again, you got Jokic, who is top 5 in the league to me. So I understand where you're coming from. I don't have the same pick. I can understand why you're picking the Nuggets. I'm not gonna poo-poo it, but we're going to see.
We're
absolutely going to see.
Jokic is a great player, top 8 in the league. But I don't see the Nuggets even making it past the second round. I don't see in the playoffs that didn't count to you was the only time they made it far into the playoffs. So I have no other history that can tell me otherwise that I should be confident that they're going to make it to the NBA, to the Western Conference Finals, let alone the NBA Finals. Like, I don't know what you're smoking this morning. Smoking on that Jokic pack. That's what I'm going to be smoking on at the end of the year. I'm going to be smoking on that Jokic pack when he's eliminated from the playoffs.
You're going off all history. Let me say what I've seen in the past. No, you got to be forward thinking. You got to be light years, SP3, and you're not light years. That's the difference between us. You're just looking at the history of things. You got to be one step ahead. One
of us predicted the Warriors to win at the beginning of the playoffs last season, and I did that based on.
I picked the Warriors to win at the beginning of the season last year. Yes, I did, and you picked the Lakers because you were high. I picked the Warriors.
I'm gonna go back and watch.
Go back and watch.
Check the tape.
Checking the tape.
Check the tape. I had the Warriors. Because I was like, they're going to be healthy. They're going to be a problem. You're like the Lakers, LeBron, Anthony Davis, Russell Westbrook. How'd that work out? Huh?
I'm always going to go with my team. I don't go against my team like you do.
My team's not good. Why am I going to pick them?
Exactly.
You should be confident in your team, though.
Like I said earlier, I'm a Rockets fan from like the time I was a kid. I ain't picking them for jack.
Yeah. How am I going to pick?
Hey, if I was a Rockets fan, I would say they're going to be the 10th seed in the play-in.
Well, see, that's crazy. That's a crazy thing to say.
Yeah,
we're talking about logic and reason here.
I got Jalen Green on my fantasy team. I'm confident in the Houston Rockets.
Much like Kyrie is gonna ball out for the Nets and they're gonna drop like a stone. I can understand that. You can have one player that's gonna ball out and be an all-star. Your team can still suck. Yeah, and that's exactly what's going to happen with the Rockets.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm the only one on screen that's confident in their team and confident in
your team is supposed to be good.
That's why I'm confidently picking the Golden State Warriors to win the NBA championship.
No, but
the Lakers
I'll jump ship. I'm not with the Rockets anymore. I'm Pelicans, baby. I'm high on the Pelicans. I'm in New Orleans now. Fly, Pelican, fly. Look at the little Pelican. Fly, Pelican, fly.
I expect Shea to have a great season. I expect White Magic, Josh Giddey to be in the conversation for most improved because
this dude called him White Magic.
that's a better jump shot than Magic too. You see Josh Giddey lighting it up in the preseason from
what
three.
What are we doing? What are we doing? What are we
Josh
doing?
Giddey, the
What
truth.
did you just say?
He's not even
a better jump shot than Magic.
Yeah, Josh Giddey.
He's got the spurt. Is there a way that we can get rid of him?
No, I control everything.
How dare you?
I control everything.
Josh Giddey ain't even the white chocolate. Like, what are we doing? He ain't even the white Jason Williams.
How dare you disparage the name of Irvin Magic Johnson?
How dare you?
Dare you?
Unfortunately, we don't have Chet. That's a big that's Chet wasn't gonna make us a playoff team, but just watching him.
Why you don't call him White Kareem?
I got to see him play in the NBA a little bit first. Like I don't just bestow that after one, after no games in the NBA. It takes at least one game.
White Kareem. Call him Kareem.
We got Shea, Black Steve Nash, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, and we got White Magic.
Someone take him.
Shea Gilgeous-Alexander called himself the Black Steve Nash, by the way. That's not me. He called himself that. White Magic, I did.
Black Steve Nash. What are we doing?
He said that himself.
In this political climate, this is what we want to know. In this economy, this is the kind of language that we want to use. Christmas is canceled, kids. This is not what we're doing. What is going on? No.
Nick, you are welcome back anytime to talk hoops with us on this show. As always do. We appreciate you joining us today. Let everyone know where they can find you at.
At Mr. Professor 318 on all social media. We just hit 1.2 million followers on TikTok, which is insane. And moving up on Twitter and Instagram as well. We thank you guys for that. You can also catch me on Facebook. I got to do something with my YouTube, and I'm eventually going to do that, but there's nothing really there now. And of course, you can catch me on Thursday mornings on Wanna Bet with the Professor Nick Harrison, where we go over all of your best bets in sports for your weekend. Thursday mornings from 10 to 12 Central Time. You can go to ESPN1003.com to listen live, and also on the TuneIn Radio app. It's ESPN 100.3 in New Orleans, Louisiana. So make sure you guys check that out.
There you go. Thank you, Nick. We appreciate it. Everyone follow him. He's doing great work on the Fightful TikTok and all the other ventures that he is in.
Hey, Fightful TikTok is over 4,000 followers now. So hey, check it out, man. We're moving. Big time.
SV3, for some reason I let you promote stuff. Promote whatever you're gonna promote.
Follow me on the Twitter machine at TrueHillSP3. If you want to hear me talk about sports some more, go over to True Hill Heat Sports. I don't know if we're doing watch-alongs for games tomorrow. Maybe here, maybe there. I don't know. You'll see me anywhere. There you go. Follow me there.
And we also might do an NBA draft. If we do it, it's tonight. I've been very behind on that, but I'll put out a tweet like, hey, if you guys want to be part of our fantasy league, if we get enough interest, then we'll do one tonight. We got to figure out a time. SV3.
Yes.
Guys, thank you for joining us here on FMC. We'll be back next week with the usual kind of slate of programming, looking back at week 1 in the NBA, talk some challenge as that kicked off and whatever else comes across on our feed, on our non-wrestling chat here. We appreciate you guys for joining us. We'll be back next week. Keep it locked to Fightful Overbooked. Bye, everybody.